So I'm watching 60 Minutes last night, and it dawned on me that giving Obama 60 minutes to talk about himself is certainly the shortest amount of time he's ever pontificated on the subject. Welcome to Ruthless.
U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died.
Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
If Joe Biden wins, Democrats can sack the courts.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Anyway, my time's up.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do. It's a whole hoax. And you know who's playing into the hoax? People like you and the fake news media.
We are born free and we will stay free.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's another exciting episode of Ruthless. I'm here with Josh Holmes. How you doing, Josh?
You know, I'm doing okay. What a week. It's been crazy. We got a lot of stuff going on though. And I know you've improved your life pretty significantly with some gaming.
That's right. So a few months ago, there was a bit of a hubbub in the press because this new Call of Duty game was coming out where it's essentially Ronald Reagan telling you to go shoot a bunch of communists. They weren't happy about that because essentially all journalists are communists now. And let me tell you, Call of Duty Do War Crimes for Reagan is outstanding. Outstanding.
I thought, I'm not kidding. I saw your first tweet on this where you said that in the first 20 minutes you like killed a terrorist and did 8 things and then met Jim Baker. I thought it was a joke. So I had to download the thing immediately. Sure enough, you met Jim Baker.
It's the truth, man. It's like there's never been an experience so wonderful as you throw a terrorist off a building after he surrendered, blow up an airplane, go to a meeting, and it's James Baker. I was like, here we go, man. It's like all my heroes at once, everything I've always wanted to do.
You've also clarified that you made a similar, so it gives you an option of what to do with the terrorist after you've captured him.
I mean, like who would not throw the terrorist off the building? Let's be serious.
You definitely threw him over top. The options that the game gives you are keep the terrorist, use him as a intel asset, or throw him off a building. And you threw him off a building.
What would Ronald Reagan do? Very clear. Strength through power. Off you go, friend.
Is the entire thing, so the entire thing is basically a conservative Cold War?
Yeah, dude, it is so right-wing. It is amazing. Essentially anything that says America is good and terrorists are bad is like considered right-wing now because, the media is just like, no, actually communism is good. So of course they hate this. But if you have, children, if you have any one of these video game machines, you owe it to them to go do war crimes for Reagan. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like so many people on Twitter have just been like, you know what? I don't really play video games, or I haven't played a video game in 10 years. I'm terrible at video games, but I don't care. It's fun as hell doing war crimes for Reagan. This is the best thing to come along in a while.
So are you hunting around Russia? Like, what are you finding?
All over. There's one mission where you actually go to like the KGB headquarters, right? You're like running around, like doing your spy thing, looking for evidence. You know what I didn't find? No P-tape.
No P-tape.
No P-tape.
Unbelievable.
More fake news.
It was evidence.
We were told that was more fake news. That's what, don't trust the media. Just go do war crimes for Reagan and everything will be okay. I promise you this.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, do war crimes for Reagan. 5 out of 5. 10 stars.
Awesome. So the other thing we got going on this week, I know you might be doing some travel. You've got a lot of stuff going on, Smug, and a part of that travel, it forces you to go do COVID tests.
Yeah, that's right. So,
and let me set this up for a minute. So like a normal human being talks to their doctor and gets a recommendation on where to go and goes get, not you.
Not me. So I have to have, before I board this flight overseas, I have to get a COVID test done within 72 hours. Now, most of that falls over a weekend. It's pretty difficult to get a COVID test done over the weekend. So how do you get a COVID test done when you need it in 24 hours? So I had Foldy come over and investigate this situation. Now, here's how you get it done. You pay $500 to this pharmacy in McLean, Virginia, right? Then you get in a car, you drive over to McLean, Virginia, and it's pronounced McLean. Normal America calls it McLean, Virginia, but these coastal elites call it McLean. So I went to McLean, Virginia. I drove there, 8 in the
Very
morning.
affluent suburb, I might add. It's
Yeah.
not like you're going to the slums here.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely not the slums. I mean, let me tell you, it was like 5-star all the way. I drive up there. It's just like bank building, spa, bank building, spa. I
Drive up
pull
to
up.
the pharmacy and somebody parks your car.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolute valet service. No. I drive up and there's a lady in the front of the building with the hazmat suit on, and people lining up, socially distanced. It's an affluent neighborhood. Everyone is socially distanced, wearing a mask. Very fine and proper. And she hands me my test kit after they run my Amex for $500. And
Wait, whoa. $500?
$500. It's $500 to get this done, folks. $500, cash money.
Wait, so is that what you said at the farm? Is this like a doctor's office?
No, it's a pharmacy. It's right in front of McLean Pharmacy.
Like a CVS.
Yeah, it really is. It's like a CVS. It's a non-chain pharmacy with a lady in a hazmat suit up front selling $500 test kits. Now, it gets crazier, folks. So this is one of those rapid tests. It's not blood. It's one of the swab ones. So, and the thing is, for safety, they're like, everyone, you can't like walk up, or you can't walk into the place and they will test you. No. Everyone gets the test kit, and then they go to their car, and then they get this swab and they stick it, you put it up your nose to, like, it says, keep pushing until you feel resistance. That resistance is my skull, buddy.
Hold on. You do it?
You do. Everyone has to take it back to their own car. So, like, you look in the parking lot, and there's people just like sticking swabs up their nose, up their skull.
You've blown past this. Let me stop you. You are in your own car.
Yes.
Sticking stuff in your nose.
Totally. I mean, it's just like, it's like Hunter Biden, except you're doing this for medical purposes, not for recreation.
And fewer feet involved, I imagine.
Absolutely. Much less. So they hand me my test kit. I go sit in my car. I'm looking to my right and left. There's people sticking these swabs up their nose until it touches your skull. And then you're supposed to like rotate it for 15 seconds. My eyes are watering. I'm counting 1, 2, 3 to 15. Then you have to stick it in the other nostril until you can like feel your skull, spinning it for 15 seconds. You put the swab in the little reagent bottle, close that up, put it into the little biohazard bag. Then you walk back up to the lady in the hazmat suit and you hand it to her. And, God willing, in 24 hours, they say, I do not have the China plague.
So basically no medical professionals have administered this test. This is smug.
It's me. Everyone does it to themselves.
Well, congratulations, foreign travelers. You're going to be riding with Smug, who's expertly administered the COVID test.
Yeah, I have not only taken a COVID test, I have administered one. So there you go. That's going to be a story. That's
You're
for the lounge.
practically a doctor.
It's totally. I'm going to pass as one in the lounge. This is going to be one of the interesting banter stories.
Did you get the test results back yet?
In 24 hours, fingers crossed.
Oh,
It's like all good tests. You're just like on pins and needles, hoping that comes back negative.
well, good luck to you, sir. I'll tell you how I spent my night last night.
How'd you spend your night?
Well, I watched football all day,
Mm-hmm.
which was, great. I watched the Masters, and then I watched football, and then I left it on CBS, and I just made a terrible mistake because
Huge.
60 Minutes comes on, and I see Obama, and I'm like, oh, God. I mean, what are we – it just – we said this last week, but every time I see the guy, I'm reminded how much he infuriates me.
Totally.
But this one, Smug, this one is different level stuff. This is different level. So he apparently Obama is on a book tour, as we noted last week. He's putting out a book, but this is just like the most perfect set of his vice president. His first shot in the sun that the guy's had in 47,000 years of public service. He gets elected. All of a sudden, Obama crashes his party. He decides to do a full media tour on top of it, talking about basically how he's responsible for everything good, and like Biden's just sort of an afterthought.
Yeah. I mean, that tells you something that like he times his 43rd memoir he's written to come out like as soon as the election happens. He's like, there can be no attention other than attention for Obama. Only
That's right.
Obama.
And he absolves himself of any responsibility of the political climate that we're in whatsoever, right? Everything that he's done, it's as if he thought that the entire American people have forgotten 8 years of his presidency 4 years after it ended. Like he just completely renews this vision that just didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
And there's two things. Like, I was watching this and it's painful, but there are two quotes I want to read to you. The first one, I mean, this is the one that really got me out of my seat. He says, he's talking about how Trump is not conceded yet. And he says, it's one more step in delegitimizing not only the incoming Biden administration, but democracy generally. It's a dangerous path. We would never accept our own kids behaving that way if they lost. Oh,
The nerve.
This is a guy whose own administration spied on the Trump transition team, right? Yeah. They entertained the Clinton disinformation campaign.
Yep.
Launched an investigation on the national security advisor because he was speaking with foreign adversaries, as one does when you're transitioning. And this guy's got the audacity to say that what Trump is doing is delegitimizing. They spent 4 years delegitimizing.
Yeah. And Clinton disinformation campaign is the best way to describe it. That Russia hoax was the total fraud perpetrated on the American people with zero basis in fact. It was Hillary Clinton was unwilling to accept that the vast majority of the country despises her, that she will not live her lifelong ambition of becoming president, that, you know what, folks don't like you, Hillary, and you're not going to be president, and you have to deal with it. No. Her folks go into overtime and push this fake Russia conspiracy theory that the media eats up and runs with, right? And now you have Obama saying, oh, no, this delegitimizes the incoming administration. His whole game plan, like you said, was to delegitimize the Trump administration before they'd come in and to delegitimize the election in 2016. It's unbelievable the guy would say this.
And they spent 4 years doing it, right? It led to an impeachment of President Trump. And all over complete bullshit, I might add.
Total.
I mean, it's the dossier that they based their entire investigation on, we now know, assembled by the Clinton administration, Clinton campaign, and used by the FBI at that point. I mean, it's just completely, I can't even begin to tell you how my blood pressure went up on that, but then he continued, right? He says, well, look, I think our adversaries have seen us weakened, not just a consequence of this election, but over the last several years. We have these cleavages in the body politic, and they're convinced they can exploit. There's an old adage in partisan politics that should stop at the water's edge, right? Huh?
Yeah.
Again, are we asleep? Have we been asleep for the last 100 years? I mean, I remember, because I was at the studio in Fox News when he was doing this, and I had to react to it live, when he said the Republican nominee, quote, the Republican nominee is unfit to serve as president. Okay, well, that's an interesting observation for a sitting American president to make, one that's probably completely irresponsible, one made entirely worse when you're sitting next to the Prime Minister of Singapore.
Thank you.
In a foreign press conference, the water's edge. What a jerk.
Unbelievable. I mean, the hypocrisy, the thing is that they know they can get away with it because they have this complicit media. They're the people who have been asleep. Like, they were completely asleep during the 8 years we had Obama. When the guy was like wiretapping journalists, there were like how many? There were like dozens of AP journalists that he had wiretapped. And now they're like, oh God, let's please listen to Obama talk to us about the importance of democracy and freedom.
It's amazing how quickly everybody forgot about that. He had the entire Associated Press basically spied on by the CIA.
Unbelievable.
And everybody's like, oh, he was so great with the press. Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
I mean, Trump has mean tweets towards journos. Obama bugged them. I mean, let's have priorities here, folks.
My favorite, and everything was so shallow. You know, his entire presidency was like a 1,000 hours of The West Wing digested by a bot.
It's like if you had an AI watch 1,000 hours of The West Wing, and then for foreign policy, it watches Apocalypse Now. Like, then you get the Obama presidency.
You remember his guide for ending racism in America was inviting a cop and a professor over for a red stripe?
I can't. The beer summit. People forget about the beer summit. I can't believe this happened. It's that ridiculous. I can't believe that happened. Like even Aaron Sorkin would write this and be like, "Wait a minute, this is bullshit. No one's gonna buy this. This is absolutely ridiculous."
But he actually executed it. And the best part is like the journos are all over it, right? They think this is great.
And the thing is, when you mentioned Obama talking about foreign policy, it's unbelievable that a man who let Russia take Ukraine while he was in office,
right?
He let Iran traffic cocaine in America while negotiating the Iran nuclear deal. John Kerry is best pals with Iran, despite them harboring, Al Qaeda's number 2, who Israel killed in Tehran back in August. Like,
yeah, that's a bit
sending pallets of cash over to them. That's the Obama foreign policy.
You're right.
Like red lines. Oh yeah, I remember the red lines. Everyone thought he was a joke. Everyone on the world stage knew this guy's not serious. He's not going to do anything. And now he's telling us about foreign policy.
Well, like it or not, Joe Biden, all of a sudden,
it speaks to how little they respect him, that they're like, you know what? Who cares about this guy? Let's just sell some books. All the attention should be from me. No one takes Biden seriously. Like everyone knows.
They're all scrambling. The best part, and we'll get on to the next topic, but the best part for me is that Biden, presumably presidential elect at this point, but yet the Democratic Party is scrambling for its new face, right? Yeah. It's like, my God, that's a jarring reality.
Yeah. Well, speaking of jarring, there were some jarring Biden riots in D.C. over the weekend. So you had you had this peaceful protest in the form of the Million MAGA March, where you had Trump supporters descend upon D.C., waving American flags, waving Trump flags, marching along, families and such. And then what happens? Dems go bonkers. You have Biden supporters, Antifa and otherwise, just attacking people. They were throwing fireworks at people. These families have been out on the National Mall sweating all day. They just want a burger at PJ Clark's. And I've got Antifa throwing fireworks at them while they're trying to have dinner. And it's unbelievable. You had Dems last week who were like, why are the businesses still boarded up? It's like, well, what, do you want soft targets? Is that what you guys are after? Did you know there'd be like this Biden night of rage where all his supporters go out and attack anyone who supported President Trump? Like, and the way that the media portrayed this is absolutely disgusting. Like, first off, they're like, this is right-wing violence. It's like, oh, I'm sure the guy wearing black head to toe and like a Karl Marx was right t-shirt is very right-wing. Absolutely. The guy, as he like punches some grandma in the face, that has to be right-wing violence. And then you have
that was so crazy to me watching it is that you had legitimately thousands and thousands of Trump supporters, and all that comes with it, and they're very, very aggressive and in your face as every partisan is in both sides. But like these guys basically peaceably assembled. They told their message. They closed down all the streets. They did what they did. And then all of a sudden you're running into problems. You're like, oh man, that sucks. I can't believe this guy's got in. No, not them. It was Antifa that showed up that decided while the MAGA people were rioting, not rioting. Sorry, they're actually just peaceably assembling. They're actually going to start firebombing with fireworks these restaurants in DC. I literally, guys, this is so obvious what's happening.
Yeah. And the thing is that like people knew that the reason they were boarded up, these businesses in the first place, is because it was the Dems sending a warning. If things don't go our way, there will be violence. They've had that message since like the whole summer of the Biden riots, where you have to do what the left wants. You have to go with their talking points or else. Like every message that the left has these days now comes unspoken at the end with or else. And their folks are they're violent people. You saw families in DC getting attacked. They were getting robbed. They were getting beaten. And it's unbelievable the way, I saw a tweet from Brian Stelter of CNN. I'm sure our audience is very familiar with him, where he said, wow, these videos from DC are out of context violence. Out of context? You think there's some context that like, okay, this family trying to have some burgers deserved it? Is that the context? This guy is a journalist, and Twitter doesn't put any kind of like a disinformation stamp on that like, oh, here's some facts on attacking families. No, that's totally cool. He can be like, there's an acceptable context for why Junior eating his cheeseburger deserved to have a firecracker thrown at his face.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, this bag of dough decides it's okay for Antifa to roll on into the family dinner at PJ Clark's and start swiping hamburgers and replacing it with a firecracker. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Didn't Stelter win your journo contest? Like
the hack bracket. He absolutely did.
I mean, that guy richly deserved. I can't believe that he wants to contextualize what was happening there. It's pretty obvious. It's on video.
Yeah, he's looking for some reliable sources to tell him when it's okay to attack an innocent family. So we can get some context on that violence.
Incredible. Well, look, there's one topic that continues here on the election cycle. It basically means election day wasn't election day, and we have to continue to January 5th. And part of that is Georgia, the 2 Senate runoffs, which are very important. But Smug, I know that you have some observations about why we're in this mess in the first place. And a lot of it has to do with your favorite topic, the libertarians.
That's right. The libertarians. So I was crunching some numbers, as I do from time to time. I was looking at some election data this past weekend. And folks, I invite you to take a close look at the presidential election results for the states of Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. Now, the current vote difference that exists between President Trump and Joe Biden is more than made up by the libertarian candidate, which is very interesting. So you have Joe Jorgensen, the libertarian candidate, getting more than enough of the difference that would give President Trump Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, which would make the Electoral College 269-269.
Unbelievable.
And the newly expanded House GOP caucus delivers us the White House when it's sent to the House in that situation. So another gift from our libertarian friends right there.
Well, and I know because I've been looking at Georgia Senate races for a while that David Perdue is well within the margin. If a libertarian doesn't take anything off of his hide, he's well above 50. And ultimately, there's a Senate race that's in the bank. Republicans would have 51 and a new majority.
That's the thing. So, like, David Perdue ended up at 49.7. And then this unknown rando libertarian, Shane Hazel, gets 2.3%. So Perdue gets over 50%, and there's no runoff. And now we're going to have this expensive race fighting tooth and nail against the Dems who want that seat so that they can give, that if Kamala Harris comes in as vice president and she's the 51st vote and she can have the Green New Deal and she can pack the courts, that was another gift from the Libertarian Party that we're in this predicament. That 2.3% would be more than enough to get David Perdue over 50. And the percentage differences in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin would have gotten Trump those states in 269-269. There's even House races. There's Iowa's 3rd district where the Dem won with 49% because some libertarian rando is at 3.4%. You've got Utah's 4th district currently tied 47-47 with a libertarian rando sitting at 3.5%.
So this isn't, here's the other thing. This isn't just random. This didn't just happen, right? This isn't Jill Stein in 2016 where she just gets a bunch of protest votes because people couldn't stomach Hillary Clinton. This is something that Democrats actually put into place and tried to promote in many, many states.
Yep.
Look at places like Kentucky where they lost by 22 points and nobody's talking about it, but they spent $2 million down the stretch trying to promote a libertarian candidate who didn't file so much as an FEC report. This guy was like barely running, didn't file an FEC report, and they spent $2 million in the final 2 weeks trying to take Republican votes. Democrats were running ads in Kentucky against Mitch McConnell. They were texting hardcore conservatives saying he's not pro-life, and they were doing this on behalf of Brad Barron. Same thing was true in South Carolina against Lindsey Graham. Like, Democrats set up this scenario this cycle in a bunch of different states, including against the president of the United States, where they were promoting a third-party candidate actively to try to siphon off conservative votes. And here's the thing. It worked.
Yep.
It worked.
That's the thing
mean,
is like
it's just dirtbag. I mean, first of all, let's get your thoughts about libertarians at large, because I know you got some thought about that. But like they actually managed to make a difference here.
the thing is that, like, voting libertarian is not a personality trait, folks. It's like right-wing virtue signaling. Like, okay, I get it. We were all in college at some time, but it's over. It's time to grow up. Like, you don't tread on me. I feel you, bro. I understand that completely. Your choice is, you can have a Republican or you can have communism. It's gotten very simple.
It's pretty simple.
And like you described, like, Dems know this and they're exploiting this. Like, libertarians do not get played. They know what they're doing, these Dems. Like, they're using you to try to get their agenda done. And look at the states. Look at where it's worked. It worked.
Just total scumbag move. And as we all know, a libertarian is basically a Republican without kids, right?
Perfect. Perfect.
People who are more concerned about people taking a look at their browser history than your average American.
Like, that's what the Patriot Act was for, is just to make sure that these people aren't degenerates.
Like, listen, libertarians, I promise, and any Republican majority, nobody's going to look at your porn habits. I promise. We're not going to do it. Just vote Republican. Make sure our country's not taken over by a bunch of socialists. Do the right thing, for God's sake.
Because I'm telling you, that's the choice now. Is it's either communism or Republican. Like, which side are you on? And I know, as hard as it's for me to say, I know your heart's in the right place, libertarians, but listen, it's time to get with the program. Stop getting played by the Dems. Because, like you said, they will fund these, like, third-party candidates to try to get just enough to win. And look how it's worked so far. If we like that, the 100 million plus that's going to get spent on David Perdue, if we spent 10% of that to just knock these libertarian candidates, these, like, Pied Piper candidates that the Dems are propping up across the country, to make sure that we can actually win these key states, that would be money better spent. I mean, yet again, the Dems have outmaneuvered the libertarians and tricked them into voting for these candidates.
Absolute sabotage. And again, it's not like 2016 when Jill Stein just happened to be on the ballot and people who hate Hillary Clinton are going the other side. These are folks that were funded, right? Their efforts were funded by Democrats to get there. So anyway, that's enough about that, but it's something that we need to look at for 2022 and beyond, to make sure that we don't have a Republican Party that's sitting there idly watching Democrats try to sabotage our votes from within.
Thank you. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been a learning experience for all our, libertarian friends. We love you, but we just got to tell you the truth. That's what we do here at Ruthless.
We're not going to look at your porn habits. I promise we're not going to look at that.
Absolutely not. So I guess that's a good way to end this episode. That's a very positive message. And like Josh mentioned, I'll be traveling overseas. We're still going to be making these episodes work as I hop across time zones and such. So you can expect this content to keep coming, folks. Tuesdays and Thursdays, keep it locked on Ruthless. And we got some exciting interviews coming up. I don't want to spoil them now. I'll let Josh intro those when they're in good time. But how about that? Good episode, right, Josh?
Sounds good, man. I'm excited. I want you to make sure that you are safe if you're abducted. I have no question the minions will come and get you.
Please send the SEALs and the minions if I get abducted.
I feel like that's just essential. We've got a copy of your passport and your itinerary. We'll keep
and my dental records in case. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was another show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Keep telling your friends to leave those 5-star reviews. We appreciate you so much. So until next episode, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll catch you later.